What's going on, GGs? So, today I'm bringing you a guide for the inner set. It's a little late, but I hope it doesn't really matter because the set will also be good on a new upcoming patch. And so, yeah. What you need for the set, I'm telling you right now. So, you need first a full inner set. You want this second-hand Diablo. You want Dex on it, you want Vitality on it, you want Mystic Allies on it. Especially, it would be even better to have 120%. Also very great is you can either go on damage, like I did, on 10% damage, but you can also go on, whatever you like. But damage is probably the best for it. What we need next on the hands, on the gloves, is Dex, Vitality, Crit. What we want on our head, also Dexterity, Vitality, and Crit. If you don't have any toughness problems, you can also go on Dexterity, Crit, and Exploding Palm. But for very high graders, especially for 85 plus or 90s, it would be better to go on Dex, Vitality, and Crit, because you will have immense toughness problems, and so it would be much better. Yeah, what we need on our torso is Dexterity, Vitality, and reduced damage from champions. Also for the toughness, reduced damage from the champions is way better. What we want on our belt is Dexterity, Vitality, Resistance, all resistance, and 15% life. Also for pushing the toughness, legs nearly the same, Dexterity, Vitality, Armor. And on our boots, also standard setup, Dexterity, Vitality, Exploding Palm. And now you can either go on all resistance if you already have rolled it on, or you can also go on Armor, or sometimes, like my ones, you can go on Regenerates Life per second. But yeah, this might not be the best in slot. So on my, for example, it would be much better if I had Armor. What we need on our shoulders, we need a leaf, brief, soliloquy, or whatever it's called. We want Dexterity, we want Vitality, we want Mystic Allies, and perfect stat would also be all area damage, or all resistance would be fine as well. I had this one, for example, Dexterity, Vitality, rare damage, and Mystic Allies damage. This on a ancient way, this would be probably the best. And yeah, don't forget a high power of the Cyclone Strike. So we want 50%. This would be the best. What we else want is Convention of Elements. We also want, you can switch in Convention of Elements, or you can switch on Unity. I played with Unity, but this roll isn't quite the best. The best roll on Unity would be Crit, and a socket, of course, and damage against champion packs, against the elites. This would be the best, but we are missing a lot of crit here on my Unity, for example. But you can also go with a Convention of Elements, go on Crit, and if you can go much higher, you can go on rare damage. This would be the perfect stats for it. Dexterity is also fine as well, but rare damage would probably much better. On the other finger, we want the Comparus Rose Ring with Dexterity, Vitality, Crit, and of course the Traveler's Pledge on our neck. Cold is probably the best, also on our wrists. Cold, Crit, yeah, this will be the best stats for pushing the DPS as high as you can. On our wrists, we want the Gondor Gears. If you also have the other wrists, I mean these ones, the bindings of the Lesser Gods, if you have perfect stats on it, you can also switch this on and do your Gondor Gears in your cube. This would be fine as well. Stats, of course, cold damage, Dexterity, Vitality, and Crit. And yeah, as you can see, Call the Sun's Despair, of course, on all ancient parts. Only possible. For the sockets, we want first our Bane of the Stricken, for the high damage for the Rift Guardian. Without it, we will probably have some problems. With the Pain Enhancer on the second socket, you have the most powerful damage you can have with this Innas build. You can also switch in the Pain and the Death Stone. Wow, what's the name? Oh, wait a second. I find it on. Where do we have it? Here, the Esoteric Alteration it's called. You can also switch this in instead of the Pain Enhancer, but Pain Enhancer is probably way better because you can push your DPS way higher to 20 million, of course, or 10 million if you're in fight, or way higher. And yeah, this is probably much better because of the Exploding Palm. The last gem we want is Bane of the Trapped. Bane of the Trapped just pushes your DPS higher, like on other builds, but you probably know it. Normal gems, what we want. We want all resistance. Yeah, all resistance you can suck in every slot if you want, but if you don't have the highest toughness problems, you can also switch some all resistance stones with dexterity gems, and this might push your DPS way higher, especially if you don't have a very high Paragon. And this also helped me a lot to push the Greater Rift level a lot higher, because other Paragon levels are much higher than mine, and I can reach that DPS without going on more dexterity, of course. Yeah, what we want, and so Crutus Boots, don't forget to turn these in, because they are very, very important to push your DPS, because you get 50% Mystic Ally damage from the 6 set bonus for each ally you have, and this makes in addition 100% more DPS just from the Crutus Boots, so don't forget it. What we want on skills: primary fists, Way of 100 Fists. We want the assimilation stack, because you pull as much enemies as you can, and then you just go stack things up, and then everything goes like boom. From the Mystic Allies, you only burst the Mystic Allies, only click them if you reach the Frost serial, the convention of elements. Only if it procs from physical to frost, you go like boom, and then the DPS just explodes. Also, on our pulling spell, we want a Cyclone Strike with Implosion. I also did it with Cyclone Strike with a Wall of Vine, the cold. It's also great as well, especially if you have very, very big problems with your toughness, because enemies get frozen. The bigger problem is if you have the cold skill rune in, you don't have that radius for the enemies within the distance. What I mean with that is, if you pull enemies from a higher distance and you have your bracers in, as you can see, enemies hit by your Cyclone Strike take 200% more damage from your Mystic Allies. So with the Implosion rune, you can keep more enemies within to get 200% more damage, and this will take the DPS to way higher. Yeah, stronger. No, not really. It just pushes your GPS, because you can pull in more minions, and you can go with cold if you don't have that much minions, but we want as much as we can, and so the Holy Rune would probably the best. So, Dashing Strike is our charging skill. You can go in with Radiance, but Blinding Speed with a cold would probably be better, especially for 40% increased dodge chance. Radiance is great as well for single target, but Blinding Speed is way more efficient with this build. Yeah, Exploding Palm, you want the Cold Rune because it is the highest DPS of all, and we also have it on our clothes. And Epiphany, of course, with Desert Shroud for just the highest damage reduction. So, passive skills. We want Electricity, we want Size of the Initiative, we want Beacon of Jitar, and we want the Harmony. Harmony for more resistance, Beacon of Jitar because we want the CDR. you should probably need at least 30% CDR, I'd say, because if we click the frost, if you want to click the mistake allies within our frost elementation rotation, it should be ready on the next rotation, because if it doesn't, you have a problem and you need more CDR. So very important, at least 30% CDR. If you go on way higher, up to 50% CDR, it also has a good effect on your epiphany, because you can need it nearly for the full duration in order for the full time. Yeah, that's a good choice. So what we also want is the size of the initiative. Well, that's a hard name. Yeah, dealing enemies above 75% life increases your attack speed by 30%. So attack speed is very great as well, and electricity also a good attack speed spender for the spirit generators. That's why we also use our pain enhancer, because it also gives us a huge DPS buff for our attack speed. Just everything stacks up to 10 million or 20 million, and then everything just goes like boom. Yeah, very great. To show you a little gameplay how you can play it, I have this situation here for you. We just pull as much enemies as we can. We run through the room and run and run and run and pull and pull and pull. Don't forget to cyclone everything, and then we come to the lightning rotation. The lightning rotation comes, you can start going on your EP, go EP, and then it goes up to your physical rotation. If it goes to your physical rotation, you should already have pulled all enemies together, like this situation, already EP'd some monsters, and try to reach as much enemies as we can. So it means go on your way of 100 fists, try to get as many enemies as you can have in here, try to stack up to at least 10 stacks or 20 or higher, and then it comes to your frost rotation. If your frost rotation comes, just click on your mistake allies and everything just blows up like here. Okay, we are going on. So where do we have another situation? Also pulling some enemies together. Pull. We have already our yellow rotation. Already EP'd some monsters, is great as well. Go on your lightning rotation, concentrate on your EP. Also don't forget to stack your traveler's pledge up. So if you have 100%, you have way more DPS than just running around and don't have any stacks. But the problem is, if you're just standing there, the enemies can also hit you for way harder DPS than when you're running around. So make sure you have a good position and don't get hit by too many enemies. Okay, so we have our lightning rotation, also EP'd the monsters, EP. Yeah, dying is probably not the best. And then it comes to our frost rotation, and as you saw, just boom, everything up again. Another situation. Where do we have one? No, that's not the best, but yeah, I think playing this build is just the easiest way to practice. Also spend to really do it in a great way for about 1 or 2 weeks, and yeah. Okay, here another situation. Physical rotation. Also already EP'd some monsters. Try to get your stacks from way of 100 fists. And frost rotation, going with your mystic allies. Also spam your EP on low targets, and then everything just blows up. And yeah, if you have problems with your champion packs, just try to pull more enemies around, and they will probably also follow you, and that's an easy way to just DPS them down. Yeah, also here again, rotation with physical, already procced higher. Go on your IP, Mystic Allies, and then everything is dead, as you can see here. Yep, that's the guide. I hope you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.